front passes through, it's colder outside. Warm front, as I was just saying, warmer air behind the frontal boundary. You'll see temperatures going up as it passes your area. You get into what we call the warm sector of the cyclone. And this is normally where your storms are going to develop. There are other types of frontal boundaries. We'll see them on the weather map today, but we have a stationary front. These fronts don't move much. They stay over your area. We saw this last week, and we have what we call upper level disturbances that pass over these fronts, and they spark periodic rounds of showers as they go over our region. So whenever you see this red, blue, red, blue, red, blue over our area on a surface weather map, you're more than likely expecting a very wet period of weather. Now, you can also have occluded fronts. This pinkish line, the cold front, has caught up with the warm front, and this is a sign that the low pressure system is basically dying out. So weakening in a way. So in order to pick up a cold front, this kind of shows you all the weather stations across our area. Yes, it can make your brain hurt at times, but based on these observations, I don't necessarily need a blue line to show me where the cold front's at. I can pick it out myself. And you can pick out a cold front by temperature. Colder temperatures behind the cold front, warmer temperatures out ahead. You can do it by a wind shift. You can do it by a dew point difference. Colder air come from Canada has drier air associated with it, so you'll see lower dew points. And then cloud cover usually is associated with those frontal boundaries. So you guys tell me, these black lines here, they're pointing in the direction where the wind is coming from. So these wind barbs are pointing toward the north, so winds are coming from the south-southwest. We go back here, they're pointing from the north down to the south, so we got a northerly flow back behind here. So you would think the frontal boundary has already passed this region since winds have shifted to the north-northwest. Out around here, they're still from the south-southwest, all right? These red numbers through here are your temperatures. You can notice out ahead of the cold front, I'm going to say the cold front's right through here generally, but because you don't see that wind shift quite there yet. But temperatures in the 40s, 50s. Once you get back into Minnesota and whatnot, you're down to the 20s. Same thing with dew points. We have dew points in the 40s here. You get back into Minnesota, it's in the 20s. So sometimes you can pick out where the cold front is just by looking at the observations on the screen. So becoming a forecaster, we talked a lot about this. I tell everybody, Tom's talked about it lately, 6 rules of thumb. First off, low pressure systems, cloudy wet weather through the area. Second, high pressure centers, clear dry weather through the region, clockwise rotation around those high pressure centers. How do weather systems move across the US, China, Russia, around our part of the world? They move in a west to east direction for the most part. They're steered by upper level winds. Now there is some variation with those high and low pressure systems, but the systems themselves will go west to east across the United States. Boundaries, frontal boundaries, another rule of thumb. You guys see those cold fronts on here. You see a warm front here, occluded front up here in the purple, cold front caught up with the warm front. Rules of thumb, the 5th one, probability of precipitation. I don't want to read through all this. Whenever you guys see pops, your chances of precipitation on that 6 p.m. newscast, think the coverage of precipitation. So if there's a 20% chance of rainfall this week, think, okay, I'm going to see isolated showers and storms. If you see 70, 80, 90, 100, you get to 90, 100, 100 widespread showers, widespread storms. 50%, 40%, we're thinking scattered coverage. So not everyone's going to get wet, but 30, 40% of the area will. So probability of precipitation, sometimes it's confused. Sometimes people think 50% pops, I'll only get wet 50% of the time. Well, think coverage. And then what is a jet stream? All right, I'm just going to go right to the map. This is a lot farther up in the atmosphere, and this is what steers our weather systems across the United States, high and low pressure systems, so on and so forth. But it's basically a stream of very high winds aloft in the upper atmosphere. And this tells us a lot about what our weather is going to do. This was taken in June 2017. As you look at this map, once again, where those isobars, in this case, the black lines are on this map, very tight, that's where your jet stream is going to be. So you see this wave, this long wave across the United States, all right? That's our focus. Whenever you see these, what I call upside down U's in this jet stream, we're calling that a ridge of high pressure. Whenever you see these U's, it's a trough of low pressure. So we talked about low and high pressure earlier. Troughs of low pressure, cloudy wet weather, ridges of high pressure, clear dry weather. So as this fluctuates across the United States, this is our weather